Okay, we have a couple of guests. We have Dan who talk to us about PolioPlus. There she is. And we have Dustin Bailey, Karen's son. Welcome, Dustin. And of course, Paula. And everybody on Zoom. Hi.
Hey.
Sheila and Clay. You didn't.
Oh, and then we have Josh as well. That's me.
Oh.
Do we have happy dollars?
Oh, happy dogs. I forgot about happy dogs. Everybody's gotta be happy. Start over here. Mr. Larry.
I just like to say that although I respect our speaker today, I'm gonna have to leave early. So that's kind of disrespect that I do.
I think she'll forgive.
Yes. Happy because last week we toured a lot of the Amish country in Ohio and sampled a lot of wineries and at the fun trips, particularly in the Amish country. But last Friday, on Saturday morning at 2:30 in the morning, I was rudely awakened by a tornado siren in Lancaster, Ohio, which is just a few miles away from where Mark's son lived. So I don't know if your son had any rude awakening in the middle of the night, but that front came through and it was horrendous for about 15, 20 minutes.
Any other? What? Yes, John.
I'm happy because my wife Paula got through a cataract operation and successfully. She sees better than ever, so I can't hide or do anything that I used to do. And I got through deep cleaning. Ever been through a deep cleaning with a dentist? That's
Horrible.
really
Horrible.
been bad.
Horrible.
It is horrible.
Yeah.
It's horrible. So I got through that. I'm only halfway done.
Wonderful. Okay, Mr. Josh.
Oh, don't forget Clay up here.
You?
Yeah, I got one.
Okay, I'll be right that way.
I'll do 5, one for each month that I've missed. So it's good to see familiar faces. It's been a little while. And new faces.
Okay, Mr. Clay.
All right. I will have to give you $1 later on, but I have some great news for our group. I have had our mail held, so I haven't received this check, but my brother got one for the transitional housing. But I had a friend of mine, we always have gone backpacking for 20 years or more, and he had a particularly good year, and he said he was going to give away some money, and he wanted to know if I could give him a couple of ideas. And so I gave him of the transitional housing and our own Rotary Foundation that we were trying to get established, and I was having a hard time getting much money established in it as with the pandemic and all. And he said, well, okay, and I said, what I'd like is to get a corpus that we didn't really touch, and we just use the growth off of it to fund things. And he said, okay, I'll give that some thought. And so sure enough, he sent a check for he was sending a check for $20,000 for our foundation. And and he's sending 50,000 to the transitional housing. So I assume I'll get that check when we're having it all held, but I assume I'll have it when I get there. My brother got his anyhow.
Okay, Ms. Karen.
We had a great trip in the mountains for our 40th anniversary. We Justin, who's with me today. Had a great time up in the mountains for our 40th. I'm also happy that he joined me here at Rotary today, so he can see what I do every week. He's familiar with Rotary and has been involved with other things in the years that I've done it. So glad to have him with us, and then excited this weekend, we're going to Salisbury, North Carolina, for my mother-in-law's 90th birthday.
Okay, Madam President, I think
We're done?
one moment, Josh. I owe you five.
Oh. All right, today I wanted to talk a little bit about PolioPlus and doing a memorial fundraiser in memory of Jonathan Richmond. And, you know, I was trying to write something up about this and I realized that I don't know him. So it's kind of dumb for me to stand up here and talk about him. And what I'd like to do, the fundraiser, since the World Polio Day is the 24th, this is the meeting before and the meeting after. What I'd like to do is during that span of time, I would like to raise in his memory $2,000. And that's the contributions from everybody. Now he passed away in June of 2018, for those that don't know. And he was a longtime public health official. And what he did is he worked in the field of biosafety. And then with his background, he spent years of dedicated global volunteerism in AIDS education and polio eradication. And he devoted much of his life to the community. And he was involved in several organizations, but obviously the Rotary Club's one we're most familiar with. And he was a Rotarian for 15 years and a Paul Harris Fellow. So what I would like to do is give people here that knew him an opportunity to share a story or say something about it. Anybody willing to go first?
I'll be glad to go. I had the pleasure of going with him to Haiti for a week on an agricultural project that our church had been involved with, and I'd gone for many years for. And he and his wife were very generous with their time and their energy, and he was a man of great talent, and was very knowledgeable and very anxious to help in any way he could. And so I just have only great fond memories of him, and he was a really generous spirit.
Okay, Leslie.
Jonathan was my mentor here down in North Carolina Rotary Club, and I remember walking into a meeting, Mary was president, and she was at the meeting early as usual. And I walked in and I have bad news. Jonathan passed away last night. I just melted because I was shocked. But he was so active in the Boy Scouts, helping people. His family is very talented. We went to many of his family shows up at Thalian and different theaters around. So I just think of Jonathan very, very fondly, and I know all of us do.
Mark.
Jonathan and I took on the responsibility of interviewing the students that we were going to send to Raleigh. And I found myself, we've been over to John's house, kids would come there for an interview, and John started to ask questions. And I, more than once, said to myself, I wouldn't have thought of that. I wouldn't have thought to ask that. He was very insightful and very dedicated to our club and to his community.
Dave, who always has a story.
I can probably talk a lot about John, but when I first moved here, I had two grandkids that came with us. And our grandson was really good friends with Jonathan's grandson. And they were both in Scouts together. They both in the same class in school.
Rotary and Boy Scouts. John and I did a lot of things together. And I think I mentioned this before, but when Jonathan first did his job, he's got polio now, when he took the polio chair. I thought, gosh, it's got to be one of the best qualified people in the country for that, working for the CDC before. And we were talking about it, and he said, it'd be cool if we could get an iron lung so we could put it on a trailer and haul it around to all the clubs and show people. And I said, probably find one somewhere. So I looked on eBay one night, and I found one. And I called it up, I said, Jonathan, I found an iron lung for you in Texas. You want to go out there? We'll go out together and get it and bring it back. And he told his wife, Ann, about it. And Ann says, hell no, we're not having an iron lung sitting in our driveway. So that never happened. It was a good idea anyway.
Anybody else?
I'll share.
Sorry.
So Jonathan always showed up. He got me pulled into a lot of things too, and I appreciated how thoughtful he was. As Dave said, setting up the different fundraisers. He would always volunteer, but always showed up with a big heart, dragging his family and friends with him. Continued to be so thoughtful even when he wasn't doing well. So I wasn't prepared for this today, but he meant a lot to know Jonathan and be part of his life and his family.
Anybody else want to share?
Yeah, just to echo everything that everybody said. Of course, I served with him as he was president, I was treasurer and on the board and all of that. But just so many memories of him being, as everybody has said, being a very generous person with his time. But all the activities that we were involved in, I always think of him. I remember his trips to India with the PolioPlus team over there, the efforts that he made in India, giving the vaccine out to all the kids there. In fact, I think he went on 2 trips over to India to do that, and one trip took Mo Beers and Mo Beers' wife. Mo was also this president, and was very active in our club. But anyway, took Mo and his wife over there. Anyway, just great memories of time spent with him.
Anybody else have anything they want to share? Right, because I read through his obituary and the comments that were left, and pretty much everybody that knew him has the same thing to say, that he was very nice, very giving, always around, gave lots and lots of time to the causes he supported. So anyway, we'll move on to a lighter note. Aaron had agreed to be public image chair, and he's been active, so I was gonna let him tell a little bit about what's going on. Probably up here.
I did a interesting experiment the last couple of weeks. I went, stood out in front of Lowe's hardware store with my Rotary shirt on and took an informal survey, asking people, you know what Rotary is? You know what we do? And I was blown away. So after that experience, I decided, well, let's go over to Lowe's food store and see what those people know. I did the same thing. And almost to a person, they said, well, that's an international organization and you guys don't do anything local. And I would ask, do you read the Southport pilot? They said, yes. I said, have you seen the different articles that are in the Southport pilot about things that we do locally? And they said, well, where is it in the state board pilot? It says usually in the community section. Oh, well, I throw that away. I don't read that. So that was one of the things that really blew me away. Obviously, there's a perception about our organization locally by the local people that we just do stuff internationally. So Sean and I met with Ted last week and talked a little bit about some of the things that we could do maybe to change that image. I'm gonna cheat and look at my notes too, because I did take a bunch of notes. Some of the things that we could do is talk about maybe getting more print features. And so I contacted Morgan Harper at the State Board Pilot to see what we could do. We actually, Sean and I worked together to get her to change our meeting place because it was still listed as Oak Island. Things that I think, was that Mark that sent that in? Someone had notified, told you the meeting place was.
Yeah, Mark knows.
So hopefully we've got that correct.
I really, I threw it in front of the paper, I just.
Yeah, that's what most of the people are saying, they did, yeah. So yesterday I thought, well, I had that experience going to different stores and staying out in front and talking to people. I'm gonna wear my shirt yesterday to play golf in my golf group, which has about 110 people signed up. It's called Crybaby, so let me tell you, it's appropriate. Okay. So I wore the shirt and I had about maybe 6 or 7 people come up to me and say, "Oh, you're in the Southport Rotary." I said, "Yeah, have you heard about us?" "Oh, yeah." And of the 6 or 7 people, I think there were 4 that were former Rotarians. And one was even the president, a past president. And they had moved down here from New Jersey, Connecticut, Massachusetts. And I said, "Well, why don't you get involved in our club?" They said, "Oh, I've just done too much of that. I'm retired now." I said, "Well, we'd really like for you to come and at least meet the club and see if you'd be interested." So I did extend an invitation, but I was surprised how much feedback I got by just wearing a shirt to a function like that. So I encourage you, if you get a chance and going to some function, put on your Southport Rotary shirt. You'd be surprised at the inquiries you would get from that. Okay. Sean and I are going to work together to try to put together a plan. I was just talking to David, and David's got some ideas about a program where there's already maybe a strategic plan put together for membership drives. And we're going to try to get with you, Sean, and we'll talk about that. So things are moving. I'm trying to get acclimated to this role. If you have any suggestions, please come and see me. Let's sit down and talk, because we would like to get real aggressive about getting our name out in front of the public. Okay, thanks.
Sean, I'd like to add that I'm a member because Mark wore his Rotary shirt to a newcomer.
Oh, well.
And I asked him about Rotary then.
That's awesome. Okay, do any members have new business they want to talk about? Ow. Yes.
I
Start
just
with
have
Leslie.
one thing. I think all of you know that the district meeting in Wallace with the international president has changed in January. I know a few people didn't get that email from, even though you had signed up. But just so you know, it changed to January. If you don't have that email, I'll forward it to you. So it's not November, it's now January.
Okay.
As you know, after we stickered all the dictionaries last week, I have dates to go out to the schools that deliver these. So the public schools, they have a restriction of just 2 people coming in. So I don't need a lot of help, but here's what we got. So this Friday, Virginia Williamson at 2:30 in the afternoon. I need at least, if that a couple of people, if you like, I can sit in the car and let some few people do this. Thursday the 28th, we have the Bolivia School. And Friday, October 5th, we have the Southport Charter School.
November.
Charter School doesn't have any restrictions. They can 4 or 5 people to do that. Like public schools restricted. see me after the meeting. If anybody wants to help, we'll get these out.
Anybody have anything else? All right, so now we have Jan Grossman, who's the district PolioPlus chair, and she's gonna talk to us a little bit. In case we have, there's a lot I don't understand. So I'm excited about it.
Some handouts,
Okay, I'll hand them out if you want me to.
and then Sean has a game that she wants to play.
And you actually win something.
Or
Thank you.
It's interesting what you were saying about public image, because I was golfing with friends the other day. I don't know anyone very well, but I only lived here a year. But anyway, I was talking about Rotary, and she said, "Oh, the local Rotary Club, wherever she was, gave her a college scholarship." Yeah, so, people have heard of Rotary and know a little bit about it, but not as much.
You come up here and talk.
You want me to come up there behind that?
Yeah.
So they can hear you on Zoom.
Okay, so. Is that right?
It's just easier for the Zoom to hear.
Oh, okay. So I didn't want to give you a whole lot of information today about polio, because I'm sure that as a Rotarian, you've heard about polio through the years, and we're supposed to look anywhere.
No, just talk.
Okay. You've heard about polio through the years because it's been a primary initiative of the Rotary Foundation since 1988. And frankly, it's one of the things that I really love about being a Rotarian. I don't know about you, and I don't know about public image so much, but I do know that I'm very proud to be a Rotarian. When we moved here last year, one of the first things I did was join a Rotary club, the other club in town. I guess you guys, but I really do love being a Rotarian. And one of the reasons I love being a Rotarian is because I joined Rotary back in 1990. And in 1988, the Rotary Foundation made the commitment to take on the idea of eradicating polio worldwide. And I think it's really a phenomenal story to realize that in 1988, there were 350,000 cases of polio in 125 countries throughout the world. 350,000 cases. And today, there are two. One is in Afghanistan and one is in Pakistan. So really, when you talk about the public image of Rotary, I think, the eradication of polio has got to be one of our biggest success stories. One of the things that I'm most proud of as a Rotarian. So I'm here to talk to you today and to hopefully twist some arms about the PolioPlus Society that our district 7730 has endorsed for us to do this year. And through that program, what we're asking is that we're asking each Rotarian, if you can, to commit to making a donation of $100 a year to the PolioPlus, the polio fund of Rotary Foundation, and until we can totally eradicate polio. We think we're very close, obviously with just 2 cases I know I followed this for several years as a Rotarian, and just maybe 10 years ago, there were 25 cases. I don't remember the exact numbers, but I followed the progression of it every year, and it's really wonderful that it's been dropping each year like it is. And now we're down to 2, so we're very close. The issue is, you think, oh, well, 2 cases. You don't really need me to help. But the issue is that if we don't totally eradicate polio, it can come back. And with international travel that people do, as long as there's one polio case, wild polio case, anywhere in the world, it could come back even to the United States. So it's a very serious thing, and to be this close to eradicating it is a very positive thing for Rotary. So we're asking that people would commit to making a $100 donation. So I just happen to have a thing here with me today. Okay, who knows whose picture's on a $100 bill?
Never seen
All right,
one.
pull them out and look at them. I know y'all got them.
Franklin.
Thanks, Sinatra.
Franklin.
Elvis. Ben Franklin.
Franklin. Okay. So $100. How many of you got those in your wallet right now? Wow, you guys are richer than my So the reason I tell you that is that it's also the same as this, which is more likely that you might have in your wallet right now. $2 a week is your yearly contribution of $100. So how many of you who thought maybe you couldn't afford $100 think you could afford $2 a week to eradicate polio from 2 cases down to 0? I don't see any hands going up. Are you listening? Okay. All right. Well, you've already committed, sir. I don't know if you knew that, but the guy with the glasses there. Yeah, you've already committed.
Way my life goes.
Committed.
So I also wanted to share with you a form that you can fill out. You can make this contribution. You can make it, you can pay your treasurer. Who's the treasurer here? Okay. You can pay, one of your officers, if you just want to make a $100 donation in one check, or however you want to do it. Or if you want to do it at $2 a week, you can do it online at the Rotary Foundation. And if you need help, any of the officers would be able to show you how to do that. And that may be the easiest way to do it. So I'm going to put out these forms. This is your commitment to do this. And I know that, I know how generous Rotarians are. I know that you give to many causes, do many things for Rotary.
Now, the money we collect through that fundraiser will still count, because it'll be turned in under individual names. It will still count towards that money.
So that's even better.
I'm sure you can ask for
But
questions.
I do want you to know that if you don't feel that you can give, we understand. Money's tight a lot of places now, but I do want you to consider it. Send these forms to each person. And you can return these to your president.
Jan, I have a question, if you could maybe.
So
Jane, you have
that's
a question?
really about all I have to say to you today. I know Sean has it.
Jan. There's a question in the back.
Oh, a question.
I'll hold it until the end if you'd rather. My question is, there's 2 cases left in 2 countries. How are we gonna get into those countries to take care of those 2
So
cases?
interestingly, the 2 countries are Pakistan and Afghanistan. And I was very concerned about the case in Afghanistan,
Right?
with what's going on in there in the past few months. But the governments of both of those countries have committed to continuing to let our Rotarian health workers vaccinate the children. It's really to their advantage to go ahead and allow us to do that, because, you know, if they have a further outbreak, they're going to be a lot worse off than if they let us vaccinate children.
But who would go there to do that? To me, that's, I mean, if they let us in to vaccinate. it's one thing. Then you
So
need
we
to-
are already in those countries.
Okay.
It's not that we're new there. Africa is totally eradicated now. So the only 2 countries are those left. And there are only the 2 cases, 1 in each country. So, yeah, that was a worry of mine too, that especially with Afghanistan. But they have committed, both of those governments have committed to allowing us, and UNICEF works with us, and the Gates Foundation. So when you, and then one thing I wanted to bring up about the foundation, Gates Foundation, is they will match our donations double. So if you give $100, which we're asking you to do, your $100 actually will bring in then $200 to the cause from the Gates Foundation. They'll double match it. So your $100 actually becomes $300 toward the cause of eradicating polio.
Are they still vaccinating in Africa, even though it's eradicated there?
Yes, yes, we are still vaccinating throughout the world, but because we don't want it to return, obviously. One of the biggest challenges has been in some of these countries, you know, you have a situation where people listen very carefully to witch doctors. They maybe don't feel safe having their children, don't feel safe for their children to be vaccinated. And that has been one of the challenges. But the money that we give to eradicate polio not only goes for the vaccine, but it also goes for our educational materials and for workers to go in and work with these people that have some fears, help them to understand why it's important to allow their children to be vaccinated. So, you know, polio basically hits children primarily under the age of 5. So it's, I mean, I don't know if you have grandchildren, but I do. And I mean, the thought of a grandchild being stricken with polio and how fast it works through their body, it is just terrifying to me. Did you have questions?
I'll just make a comment. Back in 2013, I had the privilege to go with Nancy Barbie to India to do the polio vaccination in Delhi through the streets. And it reminded me as a little kid where the cars used to go through Perth Amboy, New Jersey with the speakers on top, yelling, "The fruit man is here, the fruit man is here." Well, the little cars were going through the streets of Delhi saying polio vaccination, polio vaccination. And as you would stand there, the children would run up to you, and we were bringing candies and stickers and dropping 2 little drops in their mouths. What was important was the people, the support people that went to the villages afterwards. We were in slums, and these nurses would have to go and check on the newborn baby because there are children being born all the time that have to be vaccinated against this. So there's a whole support of people that we don't normally think of in keeping the country safe from polio, because you vaccinate the child is safe. But what about the newborn people? Or think of India, where you have migrants traveling by train in northern India from place to work. And there are actually people, Rotarians there, who travel those trains with vaccination kits, and we visited the train station and saw them actually dropping drops into children's mouths as they were going through. So, you know, when you say what's being done, it's still being done today as it was done years and years ago. And it has to continue until those last two are ended. But if you ever have the opportunity, it's kind of a life-changing experience.
Well, I have a question. When you say polio is almost eradicated, only 2 more cases, but it's never really eradicated if you've got to continue to vaccinate every child throughout the world, correct?
Well, if you get rid of the final 2 cases and it's gone for 3 years, that's considered
Oh, I see.
eradication.
Okay.
And so at that point, they will not have to vaccinate.
And another thing, the drops, does this have to be cool in a cool environment? Like the people in the train, do they have?
Well, we had, ours were in cooled canvas.
Oh, that's what I was saying, okay.
Today, I'm not sure. This was 2013 with the advance of science.
That's just 2 drops.
2 little drops. And you took a little purple marker and you marked their thumb so that they knew that that baby was vaccinated. Basic.
What company produces the vaccine? Just curious.
I don't know the answer to that. So I assume there's more than one.
Just another medical question. Is there, maybe I'm thinking because it's so much, everybody's talking about vaccinations. Has there ever been any discussion of adding another thing to against polio, like putting 2 vaccines together to help some of these countries?
Well, the focus has been to eradicate polio, so that's been what we've been doing since 1988. But I would think that may come up as a bit emphasis on.
Originally, when they first started, it did all 3. It did rubella, polio, and something else.
Measles.
Measles. So originally, that's what they were doing. I don't know whether that changed or not.
I know it's polio now. That's it. That's all I have. Thank you for your attention and thank you for joining us.
So Sean,
Enough of
this
that?
is $100 that we contribute to the polio. Is that going to meet your criteria for contribution on
Yes,
John's name?
yes.
Okay. Well, that sounds like a 2-for-1 deal, guys. Sounds like a good deal.
And checks can be made out to the polio fund or to the foundation or to the club. How's that gonna work out?
So it would not be able to go through your private foundation. It would have to be to the Rotary Foundation. But I know you have a private
If
foundation.
you go to the Rotary Club and the club will send it to the foundation. We'll get you some money. All right, these are, did you find my photos that I gave you?
This is just,
I made you some.
okay.
Anyway, now I've got a polio bingo game. They're made up of 30 keywords, and I have 100 cards here, which they're on regular paper because they wanted too much to put them on cardstock. But there are 100 of these, and each one is different. There's a program that mixes it up for you, and I didn't. Program does it. So what I want to do is play a couple games, and we have a polio hat, polio shirt as a prize. We're going to use our Chefs of Brunswick tokens as the markers. So
Return the tokens too.
yeah. So I guess I'll just I just want to put some on these two. And Jenny, you're on. And it's just something fun, so. polio bingo. Linda says the center square is a free.
No, I just wait. Yeah. A long time, I used to like, to go to but I was the past 3 years, I've waited, wait, for 38 years. So, yeah, we haven't really cut the time. Record number of votes, record number of money given out. So. This was the 43rd tournament. Generally the biggest in the East Coast. Yeah, the Big Rock and you can win $1 million there. Somebody got a check for $133,000. Huh.
I'm being silly, yes.
It's fishy, yeah.
Now, if you need more tokens, just let me know,
Isabel.
okay?
Isabel.
Okay. 15,000 cases of paralysis per year. What? 15,000 cases of paralysis per year. That should be in your I column. I.
We can't hear you. Only an eye.
You can't hear me?
No.
Use the mic.
That is an I.
Yeah.
That's pretty.
I don't know where the church mic is. I, 15,000 cases of paralysis per year.
You already said that one.
Somebody asked, said what? Okay.
It'll be a tough crowd, I'll
I know. G, death. G, death.
Yeah.
All right, B, eradication. And oral poliovirus vaccine, or OPV.
OPV.
Oh,
Oral polio vaccine. And USA discontinues OPV use. And USA discontinues OPV use. O, disease surveillance. O, Pakistan. And inactivated polio vaccine, or IPV. G, 1979, USA is polio free. G, 1979, USA polio free. O, rapid outbreak response. B, iron lung.
Bingo. Brother bingo.
You have to say polio bingo.
Polio bingo. Yeah. No, no.
Yep. Yay, we'll start her out.
I'll take a start. Thank you.
Two winners or just one?
Is there another one? So, let's see, you want to clear your card and start game? Yes.
No, sure, pre-order for doing.
Keep going.
How does she know your size?
Jennifer, she just guessed. All right, B, vaccines.
We're starting over.
No.
No, I don't want to.
Just stand.
They're humoring me, I'll play in to begin with.
Hey, Ben, how are you? No, thank you for taking the initiative and doing all that. You should have gotten a check for me for most of the bill. And what we call.
Okay, now, why do we mute now? Mute.
I, who,
Yes, I thought about it long ago.
Go to the evaluation.
global evacuation.
Yeah.
Or whatever I said.
Actually, never got a registration.
Which one was
Because- But anyhow, if you get a check from me in the next day or so, if you haven't got it yet, and that will cover almost all of it, I think. I think it was about, I sent a check for 1,600, and I think that's what the bill was.
I'm always afraid that I'm gonna be caught off by.
Carol, you can try talking to him. Hey, Clay Fairley, turn on your mute.
I'm trying to mute it.
Got it.
Oh, your work has been checked. Once, twice.
Save it, Jan. If you save all these, you can go to the other, use the other gloves. This is a good game.
Yes.
Do that, yeah.
Don't we're gonna keep our chips though.
Where are those chips from?
Chefs of Brunswick.
One and only chef.
One and only.
Yeah.
Which one?
Are you
Which
doing
one
it in
goes with?
February again?
Okay, we're still going. All right. This is not happening. G, very contagious.
Bingo.
Bingo.
Oh, two bingos.
Oh,
Oh, bingo.
Let them fight over it. Make them arm wrestle. Make them arm
Let's see what you got.
we might. Gotta share a shirt. Darren gets one sleeve, Mike gets the other.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, so I got. There's another.
Okay, well, I'll get you another ad. Oh, really? I'm gonna take by next week.
Yeah, and that's all.
Okay, I'm going now.
You done?
Thanks for humor me. She's pretty good at hat. It's delayed, but she got a hat. And mine, she's gonna get the hat. She said she might.
Oh, wait. You'll wait.
Okay.
Can Jan pick the winner of, can we do 50/50? I got more stuff. Okay, Miss Jan, you're picking our 50/50 winner. Just jump in. Just keep it same. Okay, Miss Jan. Yeah.
All right, the lucky winner is 846-597. 846-597.
That'd be $2.
Hey, Sean. Sean, I was gonna say, I'll be glad to give $100 to the foundation, the Polio Plus. I mean, I'll be glad to give $100 to the Polio Foundation for anyhow, for the Polio Foundation. I'll be glad to give $100.
Hot Liz, she can take some hearts.
All right, where do you want it?
Let me see. And we'll get you and Rotary. Keep the bell. Back it up. There we go. Yeah. There's flag. Good. All right, all right, here we go. 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Wait, try it again. Didn't like it. 1, 2.
This is only a test.
To the end. 3. Ah, still didn't like it. I got it. Got it. Yeah. Sorry.
Phone tells you it doesn't like cameras, it doesn't like pictures.
Yeah, sometimes.
You wore red tie though.
Interesting.
Sometimes great, thanks a lot. Maybe keep your eye on the paper.
Are we good now? All right, hang on, guys. Let's hit it with the motto.
Next week, we're having Jersey Mike's. Somebody didn't hear that.
Yes, tomorrow.
Okay, so what did you need here?
Oh, no.
You need some more of these
There,
forms?
yeah, I'm like, I printed.
Ron, we were up on the.
Yeah.
And I have always considered myself drive along the parkway. And you think you're in the woods over the street. Will come up. But yeah, then it comes off. It means there must be something higher. Yeah. Driving along, we're driving along, suddenly, they're coming. You think they're on the ridge. Look down on the right, and then cross a little bridge. Is that out here, the capillary action? It's just rain, it's rainwater that hits the top, right? It's slowly migrating. We went to a place.
We used to go, we used to tell them our California, it's the national parks.
All right, I'm gonna shut these down. I got.
So you're